So as I've stated in a couple other videos that I've done, growing up as a child, I was an only child, and they put me in a classification which was considered gifted at the time. Now, I guess gifted meant that you learn things, you excel quicker than others, you learn faster, your brain obviously works differently. Back then, they were pretty loose with their terminology. Using the R word was normal.
I think the word has just become a symbolic issue for powerful groups that feel like they're doing the right thing.
Well, that's retarded.
Now it's considered politically incorrect, which is understandable, but for the most part, there were pretty basic ideas of what was considered a normal kid or a kid with special needs. I wasn't necessarily categorized as a kid with special needs, but it was almost like they wanted to kind of test me and push me and see how far they can go with me by giving me all these tests to figure it out, see how quick I can figure it out, and then compare that with other students in my age bracket. I want to say in second grade, I was having troubles in public school, so they put me in Catholic school, and that didn't last very long because Catholic school couldn't handle me either, so they skipped me a grade and put me back in public school. So I graduated a year early. I was like 17 when I graduated high school. But from that point on, it continued on into my high school years that I could have qualified to probably go to, like UCLA, USC, but I chose not to because I think back then there were a lot of things that weren't a challenge to me. I got bored easily. I didn't pay attention in class. I, screwed around a lot. I was always fidgety, playing drums on the desk or tapping my feet on the ground or just always doing something. I always seemed like real hyperactive. And to this day, I still am. The people that know me, I tend to ramble a lot because there's always a lot going on inside my head. I'm always processing things. I'm absorbing information. I'm breaking it down. I'm trying to make sense out of it. So going to the term of being on the spectrum, nowadays it's generally associated with autism. So kids with autism, they tend to be hyperactive. They tend to have attention deficits. They tend to have troubles communicating, expressing feelings, some learning disabilities, and all that kinds of good stuff. I have a list up here that I'm going to refer to and compare a little bit of the things that I associate with, and then you can decide whether you think that I would be considered autistic or on the spectrum. Going back to my childhood, again, being an only child, I didn't really have a lot of friends or people that I hung out with, but it was also because I didn't really feel drawn to participate in the things that other people were doing, like sports, playing hopscotch, playing tetherball, playing handball. Groups of kids after their class, they would have, PE, or they would have a recess where they can go and play and hang out. And I tended to go off to the side by myself, maybe read a book, maybe just watch people, lay down on the bench and stare at the sky and think, daydream about stuff. That's how I grew up for the most part. But I did observe other people doing these things, and I wondered, why am I not interested in these things? My parents were real adamant about, getting me involved with, baseball, basketball, football, and I did it. And, some things I did better than others. But again, I just felt like I was just going through the motions, and I was watching everybody go through these motions. It was a big group of people, and then there was a coach. So there was this hierarchy as well. And I was just kind of a part of this team. That's basically what it is. It's a team. So everybody's playing their reindeer games, and I'm over here in the corner going, I'm cool. I'll just watch. Sometimes that worked to my advantage because then other people would see me kind of congregate towards me. And more likely than not, we had that in common. So we were kind of the outcasts, the social misfits, and it was accepted as such. It didn't have a name or a label on it. We were just different. As time progressed, things changed. Get into music, get into, recreational activities. I know for myself, I got into music a lot. That's where my brain went into. I started dissecting lyrics, dissecting the vibe of where the song sent me, and created my own world. And I was cool in this world all by myself. Sometimes people would come in, but for the most part, I didn't keep people out. It's just I was so stuck in my own world that when people tried to come in, there would be this kind of resonant vibration that made them kind of drift off.
You will beloved my bunghole, for I am the great Cornholio. I need kippy for my bunghole.
And so I felt like this bubble of energy that was just constantly pulsing with information, with a desire to do something, but not quite knowing what I wanted to do. This creative energy flow, feed me information and let me give you information kind of a thing, while other people were a little more, lax with their approach of like, hey, how's your day going? And I'm like, cool. When in really I could have went into detail. Well, I'm feeling like this and I'm feeling like this and this happened to me yesterday and I'm going to do this tomorrow. That kind of conversation, that kind of engagement with people is not something that comes naturally. And a lot of people who know me may think otherwise, but if they really dissected it, they would now probably recognize what I'm talking about.